Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
Police in New York say a road rage encounter on Long Island exploded into shocking violence Tuesday afternoon when a 26-year-old man allegedly slashed another driver with a box cutter and then bit several of his fingers during a fight that erupted after a minor crash. According to Suffolk County Police, the incident began around 3:40 p.m. on November 18th when the suspect, Jason Heitner, was driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee north on West Neck Road near Old Hickory Lane. Police say Heitner struck a 2017 Mercedes Sprinter van, and instead of exchanging information or checking on the other driver, he allegedly jumped out of his vehicle in a rage with a box cutter in hand. Investigators say Heitner confronted the older driver, identified only as a 60-year-old man, and a physical struggle broke out almost immediately. During the fight, Heitner allegedly slashed the man multiple times across his face and body, leaving deep cuts that required immediate medical attention. Police say he also bit several of the victim's fingers, leaving additional wounds that needed treatment at a local hospital. Despite serious injuries, officials said the victim is expected to survive. Heitner was arrested shortly after the incident and charged with second-degree assault, a felony. In court, however, Heitner's attorney, Chase Brown, told a different story. He argued that the situation was being misrepresented and claimed the alleged victim was actually the aggressor. Brown told reporters that the larger Sprinter van struck Heitner's Jeep first and insisted that his client only approach the van to check on the other driver. Brown said the victim admitted in court that he was also holding a knife and argued that Heitner acted in self-defense. He stated, quote, "He had a knife in his hand when my client went up to the car to make sure he was okay. He's the one who started it. We look forward to exonerating my client. There's a clear self-defense claim." The truth behind the matter is still being investigated, though at this time, it appears police are not buying this version of events. However, they are asking for members of the public with any information about the case to please come forward.
Authorities in Illinois say that a man with a lengthy criminal history has been arrested once again this week after a young woman was set on fire aboard a Chicago subway train in what federal prosecutors are now calling an act of terrorism. The incident happened on Monday night, November 17th, at around 9:25 p.m. as the 26-year-old victim, Bethany McGee, was riding a Chicago Transit Authority Blue Line train near Clark Lake Station. Early police reports initially stated that Bethany was arguing with the male suspect, but federal prosecutors later confirmed that the attack was completely unprovoked. According to charging documents, surveillance footage shows 50-year-old Lawrence Reed boarding the train after filling a bottle with gasoline at a nearby gas station roughly 20 minutes earlier. Reed walked from the back of the train towards Bethany, who was seated and using her phone with her back turned to him. The footage then shows Reed removing the cap from the bottle and pouring the gasoline over her head and body. Investigators say Bethany tried to escape, but Reed caught up to her and ignited the liquid. Prosecutors allege Reed first tried to light the gasoline directly before lighting the bottle itself, dropping it, picking it back up while it was burning, and using it to set Bethany on fire. Within a matter of seconds, Bethany was fully engulfed in flames, running towards the front of the train and desperately trying to extinguish herself by rolling on the ground. When the train reached the Clark Lake platform, she ran out while still on fire. Two bystanders rushed to her aid and helped put out the flames before firefighters arrived. Witnesses later described the horrifying moments they saw Bethany collapse and hyperventilate on the platform, with significant burns to her head and body. The 26-year-old was taken to a hospital in critical condition, and at the time of this recording remains hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Reed fled the train, but was captured on camera walking away. Investigators recovered a partially melted bottle and a lighter from the train car, as well as what appeared to be burned pieces of Bethany's clothing. Additional video footage showed Reed purchasing gasoline shortly before the attack. Chicago police arrested Reed the following morning near Washington Street. He was still wearing the same clothes from the night of the attack and had burn injuries on his right hand. While being transported to the detective division, investigators say Reed repeatedly yelled, quote, "Burn and burn alive." Reed has a criminal history spanning more than 30 years, with at least 72 arrests and about 15 convictions, including cases involving arson, property damage, and drug trafficking. Prosecutors say he had recently been released from custody following an unrelated aggravated battery case and had been previously accused of setting a fire at the Thompson Center in 2020 while people were inside the building. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives took Reed into federal custody Wednesday. He's been charged with committing a terrorist attack against a mass transportation system, a charge that could make him eligible for the death penalty if convicted. U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros called the attack barbaric and said it, quote, strikes at the core of our American way of life. Authorities confirm they will seek Reed's continued detention, citing his repeated reoffending, extensive arrest record, and the extreme danger he poses to the community. However, given Reed's extensive criminal history and his many convictions, many are now questioning why he was out on the streets in the first place, especially since, according to the latest media reports, it seems he had a documented history of severe mental health issues and violence. In August, he was in court after allegedly knocking out a social worker at a psychiatric hospital where he had been committed. The attack reportedly left the worker with, quote, likely optic nerve damage and a concussion, causing her to experience memory issues, headaches, and daily nausea. Despite this, Reed was released with nothing but an electronic ankle monitor, and it's unclear if he was given any further psychiatric treatment. At a court appearance following this week's incident, the 50-year-old disrupted the proceedings constantly, singing, talking to himself incoherently, and repeatedly shouting, quote, I plead guilty. He also apparently claimed to be a Chinese citizen. At the time of this recording, the investigation is ongoing, and no further updates have been provided on the status of Bethany McGee.
Police in Texas say they have arrested a 24-year-old man after his roommate was found dead inside a cardboard box left behind a bus stop last week. According to Austin police, officers responded to the scene on November 13th, just after 5:20 p.m., to a call about a suspicious box on the 4100 block of Victory Drive. When officers arrived, they found a large cardboard box positioned behind a bus stop. Inside was the body of 63-year-old Robert Wentworth, who had suffered significant trauma. He was pronounced dead shortly after. Detectives quickly determined that the lack of blood at the scene meant the killing had occurred elsewhere, and Robert's body had been moved. An arrest affidavit later confirmed he died from blunt force trauma to his head and neck. During the investigation, police learned that Robert had been living with 24-year-old Aidan Hunt, whose home was only a couple hundred yards from where the box was found. Officers obtained a search warrant for Hunt's residence, where they reportedly found a large amount of blood in cardboard boxes with lot numbers matching the one used to conceal Robert's body. Investigators say this evidence, along with statements Hunt allegedly made acknowledging past physical altercations with Robert, linked him directly to the killing. On November 16th, members of the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force arrested Hunt in the 3900 block of Lamar Boulevard without incident. He has been charged with first-degree murder and is currently being held on a $100,000 bond. Police are urging anyone with information to contact the Arson Police Department Homicide Unit. Anonymous tips can also be submitted through Capital Area Crime Stoppers either by phone or online.
Police in Fayette County, Illinois say that they are investigating a truly horrifying case this week after a teenage girl was found dead inside of an RV behind her home, and a 43-year-old man with a long history of violent offenses is now charged with her murder. The victim, identified as 14-year-old Kylie Toberman, was reported missing on Friday, November 14th, prompting an immediate alert from local police. Kylie had been living with her adoptive mother, Donna Toberman, and her two younger sisters in the small city of Vandalia. Roughly 8 hours after she was reported missing, officers searched the property where Kylie was living and discovered her body inside of a blue tote bag in an RV parked behind the home. The RV belonged to 43-year-old Arnold Rivera, identified by the family as Kylie's step-uncle, who had been living there and acting as her caretaker while her adoptive mother was receiving medical treatment. Prosecutors say Rivera sexually assaulted Kylie in a car before strangling her with jumper cables. Charging documents read aloud in court described how he then placed her body inside the tote and hid it in his RV. Speaking about the devastating case on Facebook, Kylie's biological mother, Megan Zeller, said, quote, "I will not shut up or stop till my child gets justice." Illinois State Police announced Rivera's arrest on Monday, November 17th. He has been charged with first-degree murder, aggravated criminal sexual assault, and concealing a homicidal death. Prosecutors told the court that Rivera poses a danger to the community, and a judge denied his pretrial release. Court records reviewed by multiple media outlets revealed Rivera's extensive criminal history dating back to 2000, including other sickening offenses committed against minors. Though it seems that the most serious charges against him were dismissed, he pleaded guilty to felony aggravated battery and was also involved in other crimes, including possessing a stolen vehicle in 2008. Loved ones and community members reacted with shock and heartbreak to this week's awful revelations. Kylie's paternal grandmother, Lisa Richards, said, quote, "We were just now educated on the manner of her death and the disrespect to her body, and it should never have happened." Friends described Kylie as brilliant, energetic, and deeply loving towards animals and her siblings. She was a junior high school wrestler, recently voted most improved on her team, with her close friend Caitlin Schellenbarger stating, quote, "She was the sweetest, kindest person. She had so much life left to live. She was only 14. According to local news media, Kylie had made multiple reports to the Department of Children and Family Services about her situation at home, and her friends say that those reports were not taken seriously. Her friend Caitlin added, quote, "If they can't speak up for themselves because they're too scared, nothing gets done at all." While the specifics of exactly what was going on in the home has not been commented on by police at this time, one woman who claims to have information has since come forward. In an interview with local media, that woman, Paige Stone, told reporters that she knows how much of a predator Arnold Rivera really is. Speaking to reporters, Paige stated, quote, "I was 14 when I met that man. I was the babysitter. He was married with 2 kids. She said that by the age of 17, she was pregnant with Rivera's child and that he took her out of state to get married. She continued, quote, "He took me to Utah. He bought me a bus ticket. He drove to Utah. At that time, I was 17, so he knew how to manipulate the laws and how to get control over me." Paige said that she eventually divorced Rivera, though her children continued to live with him at the same property where Kylie was allegedly killed. According to her, quote, "The house was full of dogs, dog feces, and dog urine." She said that her daughter expressed concerns for Kylie, and Paige also reported the situation to DCFS back in January, but that little to nothing was done. For their part, the department responded with a statement, writing, quote, "At the request of the Fayette County State's Attorney, DCFS cannot comment on law enforcement's active criminal investigation, but can confirm that after Kylie was adopted in 2018, she was no longer a youth in care of DCFS. To further clarify, Mr. Rivera was not Kylie's guardian, nor did he live in the same home as her." As you might imagine, though, this has done little to quell the outrage and questions surrounding the case. While Kylie may not have been directly in Rivera's care, the fact that he was living in an RV behind the house and not physically in the home itself has struck many as a distinction without a difference. Especially, again, considering those reports that Rivera was the only adult at the property while Kylie's adopted mother was receiving medical treatment. At the time of this recording, the entire situation is still under investigation, though Kylie's loved ones say that they feel she was completely failed by the system. In the meantime, Rivera will remain in custody while he awaits trial.
A Tennessee man is facing charges in connection with a deeply disturbing crime this week, after police say he set a woman on fire during a violent outburst where he reportedly claimed he was Jesus. It all happened on the afternoon of November 11th, when deputies were called to a rural property near Soddy Creek in Hamilton County. Neighbors called 911 after seeing a woman badly burned outside a camper that was also on fire. When deputies from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office arrived, they found 58-year-old Angela Palacio lying in the driveway, still conscious. According to the affidavit, she first told responders, quote, "Chris did it. He poured gas on me. He's lost it." A nearby neighbor, Steve Ellis, told officers he heard screaming, drove over to help, and found Angela horrifically injured while 39-year-old Christopher Medulla was still on the property. Ellis said he held Medulla at gunpoint until deputies arrived. According to court documents, Medulla told Ellis that he, quote, "had to do it," calling Angela the devil and saying he was Jesus. Deputies noted that Medulla smelled strongly of fuel and a lighter was found in his pocket. When asked how the fire started, he reportedly said, quote, "I poured gas on her." Angela was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition. She later passed away from her injuries after a family member made the difficult decision to remove life support. Medulla was originally charged with attempted first-degree murder, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault, but authorities say the charges will be upgraded to first-degree murder. His criminal history stretches back to 2005 and includes prior assault-related arrests. Investigators later confirmed that there is no known family connection between Medulla and Angela. During an interview with detectives, Medulla allegedly admitted to pouring gasoline on Angela and igniting it. According to the affidavit, he made additional statements to deputies claiming she was evil and had harmed him, though investigators have not found evidence supporting those claims. A judge has ordered Medulla to undergo a forensic mental evaluation to determine if he is competent to proceed with the case. He remains in the Hamilton County Jail, with his next court appearance scheduled for February 9th, 2026.
Authorities in Boone County, Indiana, say that a local man is facing charges this week after a 32-year-old house cleaner was fatally shot after mistakenly arriving at the wrong home earlier this month. According to Whitestown police, the shooting happened just before 7 a.m. on November 5th, when Maria Florinda Rios Perez de Velasquez, a Guatemalan immigrant and mother of 4, was assigned to clean a home as part of the housekeeping company she worked for. She and her husband accidentally pulled up to the wrong address, a house belonging to 62-year-old Kurt Anderson. It's unclear exactly how the error was made, though some reports seem to suggest they had been given the wrong information by their employer. Investigators say the pair spent 30 seconds to a minute trying keys provided by their cleaning company, unaware that they were at the wrong residence. According to Maria's husband, Mauricio, they did not knock, force the door, or hear anyone inside. Inside the home, Anderson told police he woke up to what he believed was a break-in attempt. He said he heard a commotion at the door and saw 2 silhouettes through a window. Instead of announcing himself through the door, turning on a light, or calling 911 though, investigators say Anderson loaded his handgun, returned to the top of the stairs, and fired a single shot through the closed door without a word. The bullet struck Maria, who collapsed into Mauricio's arms on the porch. She died at the scene. When officers arrived, they found no signs of forced entry, no damage to the lock, latch, or door frame. Police say the only hole in the door was the one created by Anderson's bullet. In an affidavit, Anderson's wife said neither of them went downstairs to see who was outside. After firing the shot, Anderson told her to call 911, later taking the phone and telling dispatchers, quote, "Please come, they are trying to get in," while still holding the firearm in his other hand. Mauricio told police he didn't realize at first that his wife had been shot. He said she suddenly fell backwards into him, bleeding, as he still tried to figure out what was happening. He is now working to return Maria's body to Guatemala for burial. Prosecutors announced Anderson is charged with voluntary manslaughter and could face 10 to 30 years in prison if convicted. Boone County prosecutor Kent Eastwood said that the shooting does not fall under Indiana's stand your ground laws, arguing Anderson had no reasonable basis to believe deadly force was necessary. He said in a statement, quote, "He lacked sufficient information to conclude he was under threat." Anderson's attorney, Guy Relford, disagrees though, and says his client believed he was protecting his home. He said in part, quote, "His actions must be evaluated based on the circumstances as he perceived them," insisting Anderson thought someone was trying to break in. Anderson spent 4 nights in jail before posting a $25,000 bond on Friday. He must wear a GPS monitor and surrendered his passport. Court documents say he remained afraid to even go downstairs while police were outside, repeatedly telling dispatchers he was too scared to open the door. A former neighbor told media that Anderson had long been extremely fearful of crime and rarely left his house, describing him as, quote, "very paranoid about the world." Maria, meanwhile, leaves behind 4 children, including an infant about to turn 1. Her family has set up a fundraising page to cover funeral expenses and help with transporting her remains back home. Her husband says their morning routine was supposed to be simple, just another day of work. Instead, a tragic mistake at the wrong address ended in the loss of a young mother.
Authorities in Maricopa County, Arizona say that a couple of accused thieves gave entirely new meaning to the phrase crime of passion recently when they robbed a local restaurant, but took time to get intimate in full view of surveillance cameras before the crime. The whole thing took place in the early morning hours of October 25th, when the man and woman in question traveled to the Moscherie restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale. After arriving at the building, the pair allegedly planned to commit a burglary. However, it seems they were overcome by desire before they could get to work. Perhaps it was the restaurant's flowery decor, or maybe they just really like French bistros. Regardless, The pair proceeded to get busy, so to speak, right there on the business's patio. After doing the deed, it was back to the main plan, with the couple reportedly breaking in and ransacking the place. During the burglary, they allegedly stole $450 in cash, an iPhone 5 that the restaurant uses as its host phone, and a bottle of Bacardi rum that was later described as the cheapest bottle at the bar. The break-in wasn't discovered until later that morning, when staff arrived and found the restaurant's cash register forced open and the bar trashed. When they looked at their surveillance video, they realized what had happened, though ended up seeing far more than they wanted to, particularly on the patio. Clips from the surveillance showing the pair's faces was put out on social media by the restaurant's owner, who asked for help from the public. They were joined by police, who launched an investigation. And after receiving a number of tips, authorities were able to identify the suspects as 39-year-old Brian Morrow and 30-year-old Carissa Sukanik. The couple are now each facing charges of third-degree burglary, while Morrow was hit with another charge for possession of burglary tools. However, police say that they aren't being slapped with anything related to their early morning rendezvous, with Maricopa County Police stating, quote, "Neither suspect was booked for nor are they currently facing any charges for their amorous activities caught on surveillance video, as it does not meet the criteria for criminal charges."
Federal investigators have released disturbing new information in connection with the alleged murder of a high school cheerleader aboard a cruise ship earlier this month, announcing that her 16-year-old stepbrother is now being treated as a suspect in the case. According to reports, the whole thing started on the night of November 6th, when 18-year-old Florida high school senior Anna Kepner was on a 6-day Caribbean vacation with several of her family members. Her father, Christopher Kepner, stepmother Chantel Hudson, 4 siblings and step-siblings, as well as her grandparents, were all aboard a Carnival cruise ship for what was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. That evening, Anna reportedly left dinner early, telling her family she wasn't feeling well and was going back to the cabin she shared with her 14-year-old brother and 16-year-old stepbrother. Sadly, it was the last time that most of them would ever see her alive. According to a source close to the investigation, later that night, Anna's younger brother changed clothes and left again to take pictures around the ship. When he returned, he noticed Anna wasn't in bed, but assumed she had just gone out with the adults and fell asleep, not realizing his sister's body was already hidden just feet away. Surveillance video later confirmed that Anna returned to the cabin after dinner and was never seen leaving again. The next morning, when Anna still hadn't reappeared, her family panicked. While her father searched the massive ship, a medical emergency was announced. A cleaning crew had discovered Anna's body shoved under her bed, wrapped in a blanket, and surrounded by life jackets. The FBI, which has jurisdiction because the death occurred in international waters, boarded the Carnival Horizon when it docked in Miami on November 7th. While no official cause of death has yet been released, the family told local media that they had been informed Anna died from asphyxiation, possibly caused by an armbar hold across the neck. Since then, court filings have filled in other details, revealing that Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother, identified only by the initials TH, is being investigated in connection with the killing. No charges have yet been filed, though reports state that the teen is currently living with a relative of his mother and was reportedly hospitalized for psychiatric evaluation immediately after the incident for undisclosed reasons. More information was provided by an ex-boyfriend of Anna's who came forward and spoke to local media following the tragedy. The man, who described the 18-year-old as his first love, said that Anna's stepbrother made her uncomfortable. He also claimed that he had witnessed the 16-year-old climbing on top of her during a late-night FaceTime call, and that Anna told him she was frightened of him. Amidst all of this, what has also emerged is a portrait of a messy family situation. According to reports, Anna's stepmother, Chantel Hudson, is currently embroiled in a lengthy custody dispute with her former husband, Thomas Hudson, the father of the 16-year-old suspect. She has accused her former partner of domestic and physical abuse toward his children and noted he is under active investigation by the Florida Department of Children and Families. Thomas, in turn, accused Chantel and her husband, Christopher, of violence, alienation, and keeping his children from him. It appears the turmoil is not limited to one side of the family either. According to Anna's mother, Heather Wright, she learned about her daughter's death through a Google search. She said she was never contacted by Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, despite numerous desperate attempts to reach out and figure out what was going on. She claims she was also barred from Anna's memorial service by Christopher and told that Anna would not have wanted her there. While many questions remain unanswered, what is clear is that Anna's death has come as a complete shock to those that loved her. The 18-year-old, who was set to graduate from high school this coming May, was planning to join the Navy and hoped to one day become a police officer with the K-9 unit. Hundreds of mourners gathered Thursday at the Grove Church in Titusville, Florida, to celebrate Anna's life. A slideshow played images from childhood through her senior year, karate classes, cheerleading fundraisers, beach days, and time with friends. Guests were invited to leave a fingerprint on a poster in her memory. The FBI's investigation remains active, and no charges have been filed. The stepbrothers' current location is undisclosed at the direction of child welfare authorities. Hey there. Before you take off, we'd just like to take a second and say that we really appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. Luke and I are so grateful for our incredible Crime Zone community, so thank you for being a part of it. If you want to help Crime Zone continue to grow, one of the easiest things you can do is leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. Be sure to hit that notification bell as well and select all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to support the channel, there are a couple of options. We've got a thriving community over on Patreon, where you can get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. Head over to patreon.com/crimezone to learn more and to meet some of the awesome people whose names are currently on screen. If that isn't your thing, we've also now launched channel memberships so you can join directly here on YouTube. Channel members get a lot of the same perks as on Patreon, including extra content, without the added hassle of having to go off-platform. Now, that being said, we know times are tough and that not everyone is able to support financially. Regardless of your situation though, we want you to know that we truly appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, and we hope to see you soon.